state's peak body for strata organisation says an ongoing dispute amongst residents and body corporates on South Stradbroke Island is unique and unlikely to be replicated elsewhere. Essential services, including water and electricity, were cut off for some residents at Couran Cove last month due to claims of unpaid levies. General Manager of the Strata Association Queensland, Laura Boss, has told ABC reporter Dominic Cansdale Couran Cove operates under multiple conflicting schemes. But what does it mean for other Queenslanders living under strata schemes?
This is a really complex situation. So Couran Cove is part of what we call a BUGTA scheme, and they are an older style of a scheme management or community title management. And what we've got here is our multi-layered scheme. So there are a number of different community title schemes, all under one big roof, if you want to put it that way. And so what has started to happen is they are all conflicting against each other. And we've been calling for reform to the BUGTA scheme so that the body's corporates do have more power and are more empowered to look after themselves. And there was a significant suite of reforms that went through last year, which is, the first time in around 25 years that we've seen reform of this nature. But it didn't quite go far enough.
What more needs to be done?
There needs to be a lot more work around empowering bodies corporate to, take more charge of their own affairs, if you like. This particular scheme, though, at Couran Cove is incredibly difficult because they have had such long-standing conflict. We've got a number of parties who are just refusing to come to the table to talk. The issues have become very personal and convoluted, and it seems to me that common sense is not prevailing anymore. And I'm terribly affronted to see that we are now in a humanitarian crisis off the shores of the Gold Coast, where we have the Red Cross now having to intervene to provide basic services to people who are living here, because we've got a conflict that is just out of control and not being solved.
What workable solutions do you see as being possible?
I do believe that because it's reached humanitarian crisis level that the government really does need to step in. It seems to me to be one of these issues where, people have forgotten what it is they were arguing for, and it's such deeply entrenched positions that, just by human nature, people lose sight of the end goal. And if the end goal is to have, a harmonious living, is to have harmonious living in a community, how they've got there is not that.
The state government, speaking previously on this issue, have said that they have met with parties, but that they're unable to independently intervene because it is still before the courts. What's your thought on that?
I think that there are certainly mechanisms that the state government has available to them, but I do understand their concern and I do understand their reluctance, given that there are matters before the courts that need to be resolved. Ultimately, in community title, you want a situation where the body's corporate can resolve these issues by themselves. And look, I just want to be quite frank. This is an incredibly unique situation. Strata title schemes, for the most part, do not operate like this. Strata living communities work well and they all work together. This is one of these situations where a lack of reform over many, many years and deep entrenched positions has got it to a point now where it is almost unresolvable.
You mentioned this is a unique situation, and I guess the idea of a sort of island resort-like strata scheme does seem very foreign to a lot of people, but more than 1 million Queenslanders do live in apartments and properties under strata schemes. Could this happen elsewhere?
Highly unlikely. is my response to that. This particular situation with Couran Cove is quite unique, and it is unique. There are still issues around body corporate communities that do need to have some reform to them. SCA Queensland has been advocating for a change in how management rights has been used. There's been some conflict around caretaking arrangements and how that impacts on the ability of a body corporate to be able to manage their own destiny, if you like. And so we've been advocating very strongly around the change of term and around what those contracts look like, largely so bodies corporate do have more say in what those look like. There's also issues around professionalism of strata management. We've been advocating quite strongly to have the sector registered or licensed so that we can ensure that there is that professional approach to supporting communities to manage their bodies corporate.
That is the General Manager of the Strata Association of Queensland, Laura Boss, chatting to reporter Dominic Cansdale there about Couran Cove, the ongoing dispute between residents and body corporates on South Stradbroke Island after essential services, including water and electricity, were cut off for some residents last month.